This is Rebel Therapist, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are trained as therapists and who want to level up their businesses, make a bigger impact, feel fulfilled, and be very well paid. I'm your host, Annie Schusler. Back in episode 164, where I talked about the best niches beyond private practice, I briefly mentioned some really incredible entrepreneurs. My friend Podge listened to that episode, and then she said something like, "Hey, are we going to have a chance to hear more about all of these people? Because I kind of want to hire all of them." And I thought, that is a fantastic idea. And even better, I want you to get to hear from a lot of these people. This is a series sharing the voices of people who have been through Rebel Therapist programs recently. They have created some phenomenal offerings. I want you to hear directly from them because, number one, I know it will inspire you to realize that you can create something amazing too. Number two, you'll get to hear a bit about what they learned in creating these offerings, and that's going to help normalize the process that entrepreneurs go through. And number three, you may fall in love with them. I know I absolutely have. So for this series, you're going to be hearing from these incredible folks, and they are giving us such a gift. I really can't thank them enough. So today, you're going to be hearing from Judy Hu, Dr. Jen Blanchette, Liz Dubé, and Dr. Kelly Guthrie. Let's start it off with Judy Hu.
Hey there, my name is Judy Hu. I'm a mental health counselor based in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I am almost ready to burn my license. The pandemic was a huge growth opportunity for me in my private practice. I gained a deeper understanding of the economic, gender, and racial disparities. That realization lit a fire under my ass. All I knew is that I was pissed all the time, completely burned out, and wanted to stop providing therapy as I knew it. So I joined Annie's mastermind program. Thank COVID for that decision. My current offering is called Boundaries for BIPOC, Breaking Free from Oppression. My freebie is a recording that teaches my psychological boundaries framework. And by boundaries, it's more than how to say no. In this framework, it unpacks how our white body-centered capitalistic patriarchy, paired with your childhood, informs how you view and value yourself, how you adapted to relate to others, how you learn to live and move in this world, and finally how to advocate for your needs and wants in a nonviolent, justice-centered way. This is an 8-week group for adult people of color. Each group is in an hour and a half split into 3 sections. We start with connecting with each other's process. Then we learn a part of the boundaries framework and end the group by integrating the skill by using real-life scenarios provided by me or the other group members. This is not a therapy group. It is a group coaching course that gives you a foundation for how to restructure your personal worldview and belief systems. My number one goal is for participants to understand how the oppressive boundaries come from within so that they may break free and learn to live into who they were always meant to be. As we cultivate that truth as a group, we practice how to navigate the complicated systems of oppression in which we live, so that we can stop coping and start truly thriving. One of the things I learned in the process of creating and marketing my program was that I was a total hypocrite. My first group I tried to launch was a big flop. It was a good program, but it was really safe. A parenting group was way safer than trying to burn down racism, capitalism, and patriarchy from within. And I think it totally failed, because all I really want to do is to burn all that shit down. I am so used to playing small. So small that the target on my Asian American back is tiny. Playing small is definitely safer, but it is really fucking stifling. I was ready for more. More for myself, more for my kids, and more for the people who want more for their own lives too. So I pivoted. I pivoted by committing to be more honest and direct with who I am and what I really want to do. When I put this Boundaries for BIPOC group out there, I hope to get like 3 or 4 people. I was totally shocked that I had to cap it at 12. So now, on one of the days I used to see 6 clients, I only work for an hour and a half. That's less than 2 sessions. So in 90 minutes, I get to meet with 12 amazing, beautiful, and brilliant Black and brown folks who are ready to live into the life they want for themselves. At the end of that hour and a half, I am done with my workday, and I actually feel more energized. Get this, private practice pandemic parents. I actually have the energy to look forward to picking my kids up from school and hanging out with them. And you know what's really blowing my mind? I can finally see a way that I can take one entire month off of this summer and rest and maybe even clean my home enough to find that license that I'm almost ready to burn.
Hi, Rebel Therapists. My name is Dr. Jen Blanchette, and I'm a Maine-based psychologist and the host of TBI Therapist podcast. And my podcast explores the intersections of mental health, traumatic brain injury, acquired brain injury, and concussion. So a lot of people don't understand those distinctions, and so I spell that out in my podcast episodes. So my program is for those people. So my program is a one-on-one, high-touch 12-week experience. And this program's for survivors of a brain injury, and it's called Calming the Storm. Oftentimes after a brain injury, my folks feel like their life has been upended, and it's very unclear to them which direction they should take in their recovery, and oftentimes they can't find appropriate treatment or help. So what I hope my survivors get out of my program is feeling a felt sense of relief from overwhelm, understanding the next steps in their recovery, even if it's been years afterwards, empowerment through tools and information of cutting-edge research in concussion and brain injury. So the things that I've learned, Annie's asking us to say the one thing that we've learned, and it's so hard. I would say that thing is that you can't do this alone. I just feel like I gained so much from Annie's influence and also my fellow group members. So I went through both CYP, Create Your Program, and the Mastermind, obviously, in this episode. And I found that at the end of those experiences, I really wanted to hear from the whole group because they had gotten to know my program, gotten to know me really well, and figured out what I needed to hear in that moment. I think you have to realize that this journey of creating programs beyond private practice is a marathon. It's definitely not a sprint. I know it's cliche, but it's so true. And I found through Annie's guidance, she provides a lot of one-to-one support asynchronously, and I used that a lot. And I think my whole professional and personal life has just had a big pivot after the programs. So the things that I did, if we're just talking about things, I launched a podcast, which was a huge undertaking, and just having support from her because she was like my pod crush anyway. So when I heard her podcast, I was like, I just have to work with Annie. So I launched my own podcast. I developed this one-on-one program, which includes a website, which, yes, that's a lot too. And I also changed my practice, my clinical practice considerably, which I didn't think would be an outcome of joining the program. And I've upped my revenue there. My TBI therapist programs are still getting up and running, which is fine. I think that I'm just noticing that it was kind of like a whole shift for me professionally to know I don't have to do it the same way I've always done. I don't have to just sit down in a therapy room. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's going to be part of my mix, but I think I need to do different things. And so that's probably another thing that I learned aside from you can't do it alone, which is my number one, but that there's just so much more room to play. And that's the really fun part of this. If you have any questions, certainly reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you.
In just a moment, we're going to get to hear from the next rebellious entrepreneur. First, I want to invite you to get on the wait list for Create Your Program. This is an 8-week process to expand beyond private practice. You're going to go from having an idea or a whole bunch of ideas to actually launching a pilot program. This is a small group experience where you get a ton of brave work done in a supportive group of driven and open-hearted entrepreneurs like you and like these people you're hearing today. This is designed to have you launching a paid program at the end of our time together or really soon afterward. In Create Your Program, you get weekly live calls with me, lessons on everything from niching to launching. You get live guest experts on legal issues and tech and systems. There's a BIPOC business mentor running private events just for BIPOC participants. You have access to all the recordings after the program is over. There's just nothing like it. And this is for you if you're a therapist or a healer and you want to expand your business. Head to rebeltherapist.me/create to learn more and get on the wait list. All right, up next, we have Liz Dubé.
Hi, I'm Liz Dubé, and I'm a sex therapist in Long Beach, California. In addition to therapy and coaching, I have an online program, Reignite Your Sexual Desire. It's designed specifically for women who want to feel sexually empowered or reignite the sexual desire they've lost. Over the course of 4 weeks, I provide women guidance to identify specifically what they need to change in their lives to start fueling and stop extinguishing their sexual desire. I give them tools for prioritizing sex and pleasure and help with communicating this desire to their partners so they can have the satisfying sex life they deserve. The program includes weekly live workshops with me, weekly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything, and weekly exercises to help you better understand what fuels and extinguishes desire in you specifically. I created this program because I know so many women struggle to understand what is at the root of their sexual struggles. Addressing sexual issues is complicated, and I love working with women to better understand themselves sexually and feel sexually empowered. After working with thousands of women and couples feeling stuck sexually, I've designed this program for women who don't have the time, resources, or don't quite feel ready for sex therapy, but are ready to take control of their sex lives. After this program, they understand the key ingredients of sexual desire, what fuels and extinguishes desire in them. They understand what they're currently doing to fuel and identify their desire. They gain insight, tools, and resources to help reignite and sustain their sexual desire, and the tools needed to communicate their desires to their partners. Now, marketing this program has been a challenge for me. While I love talking about all things sex and intimacy, I don't think like a marketer, and I think any skill in that area that I might have had before was stifled by teachings in grad school that we shouldn't be marketing ourselves. We should be focused on serving others. So I was conflicted about using social media as a marketing platform because of all the messages I got from grad school telling me I needed to keep a low profile, I needed to be a blank slate, or in my mind, that translated to staying small. However, I've learned that that just doesn't make sense, and using social media as a platform to market my business not only serves me, but it provides a great source of free information to others in need. And I wouldn't want my clients to stay small, so I shouldn't have to either. So I've been able to get past this, look at the big picture, and realize that if I have something to say or do in social media that offends or upsets my clients, we can process it. I can do repair. And if I'm no longer a good fit to be their therapist, that's okay. I get to do what is right for me and my business and not be paralyzed by the fear of upsetting a current or potential client. This has been great. I mean, not just for my business, but for me as a person as well. I feel like my business is finally in alignment with my personal values and who I am as a whole person. I no longer feel like I have to have 2 separate lives. Liz, the therapist, and then Liz, the sexy, flirty, fun, no bullshit educator. And this makes me feel so more integrated. And I mean, really, it's been therapeutic. So that breakthrough has been huge in this program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kelly Guthrie. I'm a licensed psychologist and coach based in Wichita Falls, Texas, and my program is called Childproof Your Relationship. This is a one-on-one, well, I guess technically it would more accurately be a one-on-2 online coaching program that I designed to help couples create a thriving partner relationship while raising young children. During the 5-week program, couples use video lessons, worksheets, and both synchronous and asynchronous coaching sessions to help them clarify the importance of their partner relationship, to create a better balance between parenting and partnering, and to consistently connect with one another in ways that are meaningful. I created the Childproof Your Relationship program for a few reasons. First, years of training and working with couples taught me that although the early years of child rearing are among the most rewarding for parents, this is also the time in a couple's relationship when they are most vulnerable to experiencing significant relationship problems. Also, there are a lot of resources out there to help couples with parenting their young children, but I've noticed that very few, if any, of these resources actually give couples tools that they can use to nurture their relationship while navigating the unique challenges that come with raising young children. And last but not least, I have 100% been there myself. I've been married for 25 years, and although our two children are mostly grown now, I vividly remember just how tough those early years of parenting were on our marriage. We managed to get through it, and I am highly motivated to help other couples do the same thing. So I've learned a lot over this last year as I've worked on creating and marketing the Childproof Your Relationship program. The one thing that I think has been most helpful for me throughout this process is coming to terms with the fact that if I want this business to be successful, then I'm going to have to do some things that are outside of my comfort zone. I know that might seem like a no-brainer, but it took me a hot minute to figure it out. The main way that this has been played out in my particular program is in terms of growing my audience. I am an introvert to the nth degree. I do just fine in one-on-one or in small group interactions, but the idea of putting myself out there in front of a large audience is absolutely terrifying. So I started noticing over time that I was doing lots of stuff to develop my business, but I wasn't doing the things that I needed to do to grow my audience, like doing webinars or doing interviews or posting on social media, things like that. And not surprisingly, my audience wasn't growing either. So it got to a point where I realized that I had to do something to deal with this issue if I wanted my business to be successful. And I most definitely want it to be successful. So thanks to, in large part, to some of the coaching sessions that I did with Annie during her mastermind program, I was able to come up with some strategies for dealing with this issue. So now what I do is when I start to feel overwhelmed or when I find myself wanting to avoid doing things to grow my business, I take a deep breath, I ground myself, I acknowledge and honor my feelings, and then I work on adjusting my mindset. So when it comes to the mindset part, I start by focusing on my end goal, which is to grow my business. And then I work backwards. I ask myself, what do I need to do to have a successful business? Well, part of that is growing my audience. Okay, well, what do I need to do to grow my audience? Well, to grow my audience, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what do I need to do to make X happen? And I keep working backward from there. The end result is that I wind up with some specific steps or actions that I can take to grow my audience that don't feel so overwhelming or daunting to me. This approach also has the benefit of allowing me to see how my actions, small actions, tie back to my end goal of developing a successful business. So it's almost like I can connect the dots between what I do today and that particular goal. And it's definitely paid off. I have been able to find some ways to grow my audience that feel manageable and relatively comfortable for me. Actually, the anticipation was a lot worse than the reality in most cases. And it's working. My audience is growing, and I'm really pleased with the direction that I'm going now.
All right. You can and absolutely should find out more about these folks. Find out more about Judy Hu at judyhucounseling.com. That's JUDYHU counseling.com. Learn about Dr. Jen Blanchette at tbitherapist.com. Learn about Liz Dubé at talksexwithliz.com. And learn about Dr. Kelly Guthrie at childproofyourrelationship.com/program. All right, if you missed any of those, just go to the show notes at rebeltherapist.me and find those links there. I want to thank Cosmo Palms, our editor, and I just cannot thank our guests enough. If you found this episode supportive, please share it with your favorite therapist or healer. That is absolutely how we help more people. And thank you so much for listening. All right, I'll be back next time with the next part in this series.